Welcome to our video lesson on frequency tables and dot plots. To begin, let's talk about frequency tables and then we'll talk about dot plots, because you actually need a frequency table to be able to make a dot plot. A frequency table is a table that lists each item in a data set with the number of times the item occurs. I have two examples below. The first example is a frequency table that shows the number of different pets the sixth graders have. So if we look at our frequency table here, we can see that 12 sixth graders have dogs. And I'm looking right here, 12 of them have dogs. We can also tell that one of them has a pet snake. That person's very brave. We can see that 3 have budgies, which is a type of bird. So a frequency table is a nice way to arrange our data. Always in a frequency table, the thing we're talking about, whatever the topic is, so if it's a grade on a test or the type of pet, it goes in our first column. Our second column is a tally column. This is like the tally I do on the board. The tally, every 5, you count 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one goes across. And the tally is to help you count how many of each type you have. Then over in the frequency column over here, you put the total number. So here for dog, we have 12 tallies, so we put 12 there in our frequency. All right, let's look over here at the sixth graders' math test scores. Over here, we can see that on this test, 1 student got 70%, 8 students got 76%, and in here you can see that 0 got 72 and 0 got 75%. It's important that you include these on your data set so that if you're making another graph from it, you have these zeros even though there aren't any in your data set. All right, let's practice making one together. Our steps, the first step, find the smallest and largest numbers and set up your first column. All right, that's this column here. So here it's already set up for us, but if we look at our situation, the times when families have dinner are 5, 7, 6, 6, 8, 7, 6, 6, 8, 7, 5, and 5. We need to organize this data so it's easy for us to interpret. So we're going to use our frequency table. We need the smallest and the largest numbers in our data set. Well, our smallest number is 5, and our largest number is 8. So what I do over here is I would start at our smallest number, which is 5, and then I go up by 1 until I reach our largest number, which is 8. That's how I fill in the first section of our table. It's also important that you write the correct thing up here. Our data is talking about the time. So that's why I put the title time here, because it's the time when families have dinner. Step number 2, we need to make a tally of each data item. So we're going to look through our data set, and we are going to make tallies in our tally section here every time we see a number. So there's a 5, so I put 1 tally, cross it out. A 7, another tally. 2 6s. An 8. A 7. 2 6s again. Another 8, a 7, and then 2 5s. Now we're done step 2. Step 3, total your tallies. So we total them in the frequency section. So 5 occurs 3 times, so I put 3 here. 6 occurs 4 times. 7 occurs 3 times, and 8 occurs twice. The last thing you should do is make sure that your frequency table has a title. So our title for this frequency table will be the times families have dinner. So I'm going to write that on top of our frequency table here. Times and it's important with every single graph that you have a title on it. All right, now we're finished making a frequency table. It's a lot easier to tell information from a frequency table than it is from a bunch of information written down. Now, you're going to practice making 3 frequency tables right on your handout there. They're written at the bottom. We are going to do the first one together. So days in each month. And over here we have a list of all the number of days in each month. Here it says time, which is not correct. So I'm going to white that out. What should actually go at the title of this, at the top of this column? The thing that should go at the top of this column is the number of days. So I'm going to write inside here, number of days. All right, our first step is to fill in this column with our smallest and biggest numbers. So we're going to go through our data set and try and find our largest and our smallest. It looks like 28 is our smallest and 31 is our largest. So I'm going to go into this column and start at 28, then go up until I reach 31. So 28, 29, 30, and then 31. And now I'm done. Next step, to tally them, okay? I see 31 once, 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31. Wait, I lost count. This is why you should cross them out as you go. So I've got 131, I've got 128, 2 31s, a 30, 3 31s, another 30, 4 31s, and I'm right here. Okay, now I add another 31, another 30, another 31, another 30, and my last 31. Now I'm going to fill in my frequency. So 1 month has 28 days, 4 months have 30 days, and 7 months have 31 days. The last thing we need to do is add our title for our graph, and the title for this graph should be the number of days in each month. So I'm going to write that at the top here. If you're ever not sure if your graph needs a title or not, always put one, because you'll never lose points for putting one, but you will lose points if you don't put one. And that's how to make a frequency table. Now we're going to start talking about dot plots. Dot plots and frequency tables go hand in hand, and you will see why shortly. A dot plot is a graphical display, so it's a graph of data using dots to represent each data point on a number line. Here is an example. Number of books read by 6th graders so far this year. Across the bottom, we would have the number of books they've read, and then each dot would represent one student. So from this graph, we can see that one student has read 6 books, and that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 students have read 3 books. This graph is really nice because it has a title across the top, so it tells us what it's showing. It could improve by adding a label on the x-axis, and this would be the number of books read. Okay, let's get started with making them. Creating a dot plot, we have 3 steps. The first step is to organize your data by making a frequency table. We know how to do this, we just did it. So we're going to start by organizing this data into a frequency table. Well, the first thing I need to do with the frequency table is figure out my smallest and biggest numbers in my data set. It looks like my smallest one is 0 and my largest one is 7. We're going to start here at 0 and then fill in all the way till we get to 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. My table ran out of space, so I'm just going to fill it in. All right. Now I need to put my tallies in. So I'm going to start with 0, 1 0, 3 zeros, 1 5, 1 2, 1 5, 1 3, a 1, a 7, and a 4. All right, now our frequency. So 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 0, 1. So now step 2, for our dot plot, we need to look over our data and set a scale. The scale is going to determine what numbers we count by on our number line down here. We need to make sure we have one spot for each number, even if there's 0 numbers for that tally. For example, here, 6 has 0 frequency. However, we need to show that on our graph to make sure everyone sees that 6 has 0. So our scale, in this case, our smallest one is 0, and our greatest one is 7. So I think we should go up by 1, starting at 0, and then go to 7. So let's set up our number line down here with a scale of 0 to 7. From 1 to 7. So we'll start here at 1. We're going to go all the way to 7. So let's just go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll put my 7 here. I'll erase it over here. All right. Now that we've got our scale, we need to place a dot to represent each set of data. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. We need to start with 0 on our number line. So I'm going to extend it a little bit down this way. Oh. Extend it this way and add our 0 over here. You know what? I'm actually going to start again. I hope you didn't make the same mistake on your number line, because it's important that there's the same amount of spacing between each number. So I'm going to carefully erase these and then start at 0. Hopefully you caught that. There we go. Now I'm ready to put my dots on. We need to place a dot for each data point. So 0 has a frequency of 3. So we're going to place 1, 2, 3 dots above the 0. 1 has 1, 2 has 1, 3 has 1, 4 has 1, 5 has 2, 6 has 0, and 7 has 1. The last thing we need to make sure we do is add a title and label all our axes. So the title of our graph will be the number of goals scored for each member of a soccer team. And along our x-axis down here, I should also label it. My label isn't going to fit very nicely onto my screen, but I would write here, number of goals. Try and squeeze it down here. Oh. All right, you have these 3 problems to do, but we're going to do the first one together. The following data represents the number of jars of honey Sandy the bear consumed each day this week. So our first step is to make our frequency table, and for our frequency table we need the smallest number and the biggest number in our data set. So our smallest one is 0 and our largest one is 4. So let's start at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we don't need our last section down here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we need to tally them up. 1, 4, 2, 3, 0, 3, and 2. Now we write our frequency, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Now that we've got our frequency table, we need to figure out our scale for our number line. Well, it starts at 0 and it goes to 4. So I'm going to start over here at 0 and then go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I need to place a dot for each frequency of the item. So 0 occurs once, so I'll place 1 dot. 1 occurs once. 2 occurs twice, 3 occurs twice, and 4 occurs once. The last thing I want to do is label everything, so I need a title and then the label down at the bottom. So what we need to do is label our title. Our title is the number of jars of honey Sandy the bear consumed each day this week. So number of jars of honey Sandy consumed. Now I have to think about what my axes represents. So each dot would represent a day of the week, and the number along the bottom represents the number of jars eaten. All right, you have 2 more problems to try on your own on your guided note. Give those a try. And that's all for now. I'll talk to you later.